Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long. So glad that you are here with us. We have a really fun show for you today. I am here with my co-host, Amy.
Hi.
There she is, looking all lovely, sounding all lovely. Like I said, we have a fun show. We're going to take a closer look at Zion National Park, one of the most popular national parks in the United States, and with very, very good reason. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm sure you will hear us say that numerous times. But we are going to look at some of the must-see hiking and scenic drive experiences that you can have out there, as well as give you some recommendations if you're planning a trip, which you should be. You should be writing all of this down, right? As far as dining, lodging, things to do that don't involve hiking or anything like that. So we have a jam-packed show. So let's just jump right in. Now, Zion is just a couple of hours north of Las Vegas, maybe 2.5 hour drive north of Las Vegas. In fact, Las Vegas is probably the point that most people fly into if they're from out of the state to really serve as their base camp and before they head off.
Right.
It's a place that you and I have been several times with varying degrees of success. And I'm sure we'll get into all of that. But looking at Zion, you and I now, we've been to a number of national parks, both together and separately on different trips. Your first impressions, and what do you tell people about Zion?
One of the first places that I was told we needed to go when we moved here was to Zion to go hike the Narrows. People were like, it's just a really cool experience. And even in the middle of summer, it's not so hot because you're in water and you're kind of like in a slot canyon. So you're out of the sun. And I had no idea what they were talking about. And then we started looking it up and we're like, this place is only, a couple of hours away. So immediately this was one of the things that I wanted to do when we moved to Vegas. And I feel like Zion is definitely one of the places that lives up to the hype. And a lot of places don't, but this one does.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it is one of the more popular national parks with amazing good reasons, because not only are a lot of the hikes iconic and picturesque. Anytime if you just Google Zion National Park, you'll see these different views. The park is packed full of Aztec red stone, and so it kind of carries on some of that tradition of like the Red Rock Canyons and these Red Rock Mountains that are so prevalent in Nevada and through Utah. And so like you mentioned the Narrows. The Narrows is probably one of the most popular hikes in Zion. I mean, it's a slot canyon hike where the Virgin River rolls through and it has cut this beautiful canyon. Yes, you do walk in the water, so, bring your water shoes or however, but it is, moderate to strenuous. You do have to get in and out. And there are times of the year where it can get pretty high and actually will be shut down from time to time with heavy rains.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point because you said it's a modern to strenuous hike. What we have found out is that people have varying definitions for modern to strenuous and even for an easy hike. What one person considers easy, another person doesn't. And we found that out the first time you and I went because we decided to go on an easy hike.
Yeah.
And it was not easy for us. It was actually quite strenuous because we had not been doing a lot of hiking at that point. So we were not prepared.
We went on the Watchman Trail, which is like right off the parking lot. I mean, we just drove up there one day and we didn't know anything about the park. I think it was our very first time to visit. It turned out to be the hottest day of the year.
Right.
It was in the middle of July. And on record that year, it was like literally the hottest day of the year. We didn't have a plan in place. We were just kind of going to see, and we ended up doing something that we considered, or a lot of people online considered, an easy trail, but with the heat that particular day and us being kind of unprepared, and not really in that mindset. I mean, it turned out to be pretty strenuous and actually a part of it in the middle there got a little dangerous for us.
Right. And you actually saved our lives because when we got there and we saw, okay, we're going to go on this trail, we did look it up real fast on the website for the park, and it said this is an easy trail. One bottle of water per person should do. And I was like, okay, we have 1 bottle of water per person. And you were like, no, I think we need more water. And I was sure that the website was right.
And then I was wrong.
Yes, but you insisted. And so we went into the little general store right there off the parking lot and bought 2 bottles of frozen water. So they do freeze some of the water so that's ice and it will melt as you're hiking, which is a wonderful idea. We drank all that water just as we were trying to get to the top. So we didn't even have water coming back down. Like, what would we have done had you not insisted on buying more water?
Yeah, we probably would have smartly turned back.
I hope so.
But it did get a little dicey there. And we are pretty avid travelers and hikers up to that point and everything. But nothing can prepare you really for the heat.
The heat, right? And there's very little shade, on this particular trail.
Yeah.
No shade.
And then a different trip that I took with my friend John, actually not too long ago, we actually got permits, and you do still have to go online to get permits for some of these trails, including Angel's Landing. Angel's Landing is kind of legendary trail.
Right.
People all over the world know it. It's one where you do go up a chain-assisted final stretch to the overlook. It's pretty strenuous. Okay, if we thought the Watchman Trail was strenuous on a hot day, I can't even imagine Angel's Landing, because John and I did go. It was in June. It wasn't a particularly hot day, amazingly, and we got there first thing in the morning, and it was still pretty challenging. It has like something. Oh, there's a stretch of it. There's like, I think, 30 plus switchbacks at one point. It's just elevation gains.
Wow.
From the time you even get on the paved trail where the shuttle drops you off to the actual trailhead is a ways, and it's all elevation gains.
So getting from the shuttle just to the trail is a hike itself.
It's a hike itself.
And then you have to do the actual hike.
And I was looking at John like, this is it, right? We were done. He's like, no.
We haven't even started.
He pointed up into the sky and was like, we're going to be up there with God and the archangels.
Well, people don't tell you that, because I see people posting video of Angel's Landing all the time on social media. And it's always at the very end when you're walking on the very narrow rocks with the chain kind of. And again, this looks dangerous. Like, who decided this was a fun recreational activity? I don't know. But nobody shows you what you have to do to get to that point.
Yeah. Usually if you look online, you see the videos, and it's usually the chained parts. And it is dangerous. People, unfortunately, do slip and fall and, have their lives tragically cut short because of this. And you know how I am with heights. I've said it a number of times here on this show. I am not a fan. But I will say this. I had an easier time with the chain section of Angel's Landing, maybe because there's something solid and it's not like you're just open air, just dangling above anything, rather than like Yosemite and Half Dome.
Really?
Yeah. It was a totally different feeling, totally different thing. So some people will probably find it unnerving. Other people will probably be like, oh, there's not much to it. It's more of when it's peak season, almost waiting in line as people are going. Now, they do a pretty good job of the permits, only allowing so many people to go past a certain point. Now, you can go up, like I think halfway to a different point, and I forget what it's actually called off the top of my head, some kind of overlook. People can go up there, but to go past there, they have a ranger that checks your permits.
Oh, okay.
That you can't go any further to the chain section.
So only so many people a day are allowed to the very peak of it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Because it's where the chain section is, it's a very narrow area, and you are kind of just putting one foot in front of the other to go. So a crowd up of people, and the way people just are, would probably have a pretty dangerous situation on hand.
Yeah. Well, I think we should talk more about the permitting process.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll talk more about the permitting process, other hikes here. We're talking about Zion National Park. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
We're coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We're talking about Zion National Park, one of the most popular national parks in the United States and among our national park system. So we were talking about Angel's Landing, one of the most popular parks. Talking about popular parks, excuse me. This is one of the most popular hiking trails and things to do in the park. So much so that in 2019, they did institute a permit system online. So you can kind of plan, and it actually helps limit the number of people every day that are allowed on this trail. So it doesn't have a total backup of people, because it is a dangerous hike. And it is something that needs to be taken into consideration.
I imagine if part of it, there's chains that you have to kind of hold on to. Like, they can't have hundreds of people all there at the same time, because you wouldn't be able to all hold on to the chain. So
absolutely,
this is probably more than anything for safety reasons.
Yeah, big time. And, you know, to kind of make sure that it's not ruined for a lot of people. Again, you can go up to a certain part of the Angel's Landing Trail that's unmeted, you know, or how metered.
Metered? I don't know.
There you go. I don't know. I tried to use a word that I heard one time.
Just making up words right now.
All words are made up. But you can't go to a certain point, but after a certain point, there is a ranger that will check to make sure permits are there good for that day. Speaking of, there are two different systems. There is an online lottery where you can pick a day and a time between a certain, I think, throughout the year, they do it in like 6-month intervals, right?
Okay.
So for now, it would be if you were trying to plan a trip between like March and May.
Okay.
So you could plan and everything. There's a lottery system in place. You go online to the mps.gov website, find Zion and Angel's Landing and all of that. They also have a permit application for tomorrow. It's like a lucky lottery, but this is last minute stuff. And I know people here, we know people here in Las Vegas, especially like Trent Keenan, the guy who owns Diamondback Land Surveying, right? He and his friends do it all the time, where if they get a last minute permit for Angel's Landing, they'll drop everything tomorrow and they'll go do it, right?
Really?
It's such a wonderful hike. That's what happened with John and I. We set out on this road trip to go to all these different national parks. We applied for a certain day. We didn't get it. So we headed out to a different, I think we drove up to Yellowstone and then decided to come back down.
So you tried to plan in advance.
I tried
doing
to,
the like farther out one.
We tried to plan in advance and we didn't.
So like too many other people had already requested for that day.
Well, we just didn't win the lottery.
Oh, okay.
We didn't win the lottery thing,
for that day. Okay.
for that particular day. On our way back, we had a totally different plan. I think we were going to go to Bryce Canyon, but we were stopping by Arches National, which is on the other side of Utah. And John just was like, hey, you know what? We'll just try. We'll just see. And if it happens, we'll do something else. We just so happened to get it. And we booked it across the state. Like, we left Arches almost immediately. We're like, this is fun.
We're driving all night to hike a dangerous trail tomorrow.
But it's almost like a once in a lifetime thing. You know, if you get the permit and you're not from this area, it's more of like, hey, let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
So we went there, and sure enough, I mean, we got to the park first thing in the morning. We did the hike. We got up to the point, and sure enough, there was a ranger there, and he was monitoring. And you had to have permit for that particular day during a certain window, and to do all of that. And it's a pretty easy application process. I think there might be a small fee.
That's what I was going to ask, if there's fees for these permits.
That I don't think you pay unless you actually win.
Okay.
If you get the lottery, then you have to process a payment, but it might just be a couple of dollars. It's not very expensive at all, but you can find out the most current information on the website for the Zion National Park.
And I did see on the website too, like if you're someone who wants to stay in the park overnight, you do need an overnight permit. Yeah. So if you're planning to camp or backpack inside the park, just be prepared that there is a permit required and maybe a small fee for that too.
Yeah. They want to be able to keep track of the people that are in the park at night, so no one's off doing anything wonky, or as my mom would say, catawampus. But so, Angel's Landing, the Narrows, the different small trails in the beginning that are better for families, unless you just have one of those kids. You always see those kids on the trail, man, like 6 years old, and they're like,
They're
It's
running
nothing.
like a mountain goat. They're passing everybody.
They're in Crocs. They're holding half a banana.
They're not even wearing clothes. They have underwear on.
Yeah. maybe a diaper or something like that. And they're crawling over rocks and everything else. So those are good parts. But like there's also places like Emerald Pools, which is just gorgeous. Right time of the year, waterfalls, vegetation, and natural pools. So that's why they call it Emerald Pools. And then there's easier, like high elevation vantage points, like Observation Point, things like that. You always want to go on the website, check for closures. Rock slides happen during the rainy parts of the year. It'll wash out different trails, so you always want to be up to date as best as possible by going online.
Right. One of the things I was surprised to learn about Zion, because it is in southern Utah, so it is kind of it's a desert area. But you mentioned, the Virgin River runs through the park. They do have you do have the opportunity to take boats on some areas of the river. They have guided horseback trail like rides there. They also do rock climbing and what they call canyoneering, where they take you through the slot canyons. There's so much like really interesting things to do. It's not like you're just hiking in the desert, It's a very interesting state park, and it's big, so it has all these different terrains too.
Yeah, it is one of these kind of national parks that has something for everyone. You mentioned camping. There's even glamping. They have glamping out there. So like if you kind of want to rough it, but you don't really want to rough it, that's what glamping is. And it's something I haven't done in that national park, but they have all of these beautiful options now for glamping. There's a number of companies. You want to just go online to check that out, but it's not like you're glamping outside of the park, even though there's those options as well.
Right.
They have a couple of companies that they work hand in hand with that will take you inside the park. You glamp out, and then you get to, star watch and do different activities at night, which is kind of one of those really awesome things. I mean, once you start looking at the pictures you find online and everything, it looks really incredible. Even if you don't want to hike or camp, maybe you only have an hour or two to spend in that area. There are some beautiful scenic drives as well. The Zion Mount Carmel Highway, most people just call it Carmel, is a route that runs from the park's south entrance to the east entrance, and it passes you through the like Mount Carmel tunnels and different areas. You'll probably see them pop up on different, like Instagram and everything is really popular for that. But it's a lot of switchbacks. You get the Red Rock mountains and viewpoints and all of that stuff for lots of areas that you can pull over on the side of the trail and just take photos if you have, a very short amount of time. There's also like the Kalab Fingers, or most people just call it the Fingers Road. And it sounds funny, but it's beautiful, beautiful, canyon views and everything that you don't even have to get out of the car.
Right.
You'll see it all, right?
You just want to drive through.
There you go. Zion National Park's Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We're talking about Zion National Park. Now, we got to give you a brief overview of the hiking trail options there. Those are the most popular ones. There's all kinds of trails and scenic routes that you can take. But when you're there, you are going to build up an appetite, and we want to mention some of the, food options that are available both in the park and outside of the park in areas like Springdale and the appropriately named Rockville. I couldn't get that word out. Springdale. There you go. We had an experience we just mentioned earlier in the show where we did what was supposed to be a fairly easy trail. We did it on the hottest day of the year. It turned out to be a very life-altering experience for both of us.
Right. We still talk about this hike.
Oh, my gosh. Every time we mention Zion, we mention this hike. Sometimes when people don't even ask us stuff about national parks, we bring up, we almost died in a park.
We had intended to do another hike after that one, but we were so exhausted and sunburnt. There was no way. And like we said, this trail is right off the parking lot. So we just wandered back across the parking lot to the first place we saw to eat because we were not prepared to have trail snacks, anything. I think we each had like one granola bar between us.
Yeah, I think I stole half a banana from a child that was running by. I was aiming for the gummy snacks he had, but I got the banana. So yeah, inside the park, especially, around the south entrance, there are a few different options. There are places like the Zion Lodge, Red Rock Grill. Right next to that is the Castle Dome Cafe. Both of them, like the Castle Dome Cafe is like grab and go. You'll find sandwiches and different things like that. Coffee, really ideal for breakfast. If you're going into the park and say, hey, we haven't eaten, let's just grab something there. It's really easy. Red Rock Grill is more lunch and dinner options with a beautiful setting because the outdoor seating just opens up right there to the mountains and it's just a beautiful way to kind of take it all in. You and I look, no offense to them, but we look like refugees.
We did.
Coming down from the mountain, like maybe one of us or both of us should have been carrying tablets.
We look like we had been in the desert for 40 years wandering.
We were disheveled, to say the least.
We were angry.
Yeah,
we weren't even speaking to each other by this point. I was so mad at you for stealing my water.
I didn't know.
Do you remember? You were drinking all of my water, and I was so mad.
How dare I drink water and survive on a trail?
But I wasn't going to survive, and that's why I was mad.
Look, if something happened, one of us was going to have to be carried out, and you aren't carrying me out. So,
You at that point, you weren't carrying me out either, though. You may have dragged me by my hair, but you weren't carrying me.
I would have politely rolled you down the hill like any good spouse would.
We found that one tree on like halfway down and we were just huddled underneath it. And another family was trying to stand in the shade too. And we would not move. Yeah. We were so inconsiderate, but like our marriage was dependent on us getting some shade at that moment.
We're going to call that one therapy. Marriage counseling trail. That's what that is called now. Anyway, so past our own personal shortcomings. Where were we talking about food?
We were talking about food, how we came down and we were hungry.
It was a very hot day. It was also a very busy day.
It was.
I think it was like a Saturday or something like that. The Red Rock Grill and the cafe were filled to capacity with people. That's the reason we didn't stop there. Otherwise, because we were just standing out front, we were hoping people would just throw food at us the way we looked. But we did find the Zion Canyon Brew Pub, which is very, pretty close to that. And it also had a lot of the same thing. Like it had outdoor seating, and they didn't even have to ask because I don't think we even said words. The young lady up front, she was just like, "You guys are going to sit outside in the shade," and they just started bringing us water because we looked good.
The thing that upset me the most was there was that table next to us that had like 12 people sitting at it, and they were all younger 20s, and they had just finished probably a more strenuous trail, and they were all happy and cheerful and just like having a good time. Yeah. And in that moment, I hated them. I hated them for still being happy after what we had gone through.
They had their little North Face shirts and their walking sticks. And they were just like talking about the trail they were going to do after lunch. Did you hear that? Yeah, they're like, "Oh, we're going to go on this other one." And you and I barely completed one of the easier ones. We were dividing furniture in our house in our heads. Again, we weren't speaking, but it is a good place. The Zion Brew. I think after a while, after we got some water in us and some food in us, we got a beer. Yeah. And we kind of started decompressing and started speaking again. And it really kind of opened it up. but I mean, there are those few options in the park, but they really try to make sure that around the entrances, around the visitor center, there are things. But for the most part, you're going to have to go outside of the park,
Right.
no matter what entrance you go into in the areas surrounding Zion. Like I said, Springdale has a lot of options. Rockville, if you want to go further out or you're driving back to Vegas, you know, want to get a little distance between you and the park, a place like Hurricane, Utah, which I always wonder why they named it Hurricane in the middle of Utah, but whatever. I think that's where John and I stopped. We stopped at like a Jimmy John's.
I think it's a good thing to point out with any of the national parks is there are not a ton of options, food options inside, and they are going to be spread out. So depending on what trail you're on, you may not be close to it. So you definitely want to be prepared and bring snacks, which we learned from that trip to do. But if you are near an entrance, you can go into a town like Springdale, which we did. But no, these are not big towns. There's not a ton of options there either.
Yeah, absolutely right. And you always, and I'll say it multiple times, especially during episodes like this, but you always want to keep it in mind for just your travels and those kind of preparations like that. Popular seasons, peak seasons, restaurants are going to be full, lodging's going to be full, parking lots are going to be full.
Right.
So you're going to want to get there early, plan ahead, be smart about it, right? It's the Unscaled Travel Show. Talking Zion National Park. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host and co-explorer Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. For all of our past episodes and interviews, check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com, or you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We always upload each and every episode. This one about Zion National Park, we have chatted about some of our favorite hikes, some of the more popular scenic destinations you can find. Hopefully, you've been writing them down. Also, dining and different facts, things like that. We're going to get into. We also mentioned important things like entrance fees and all of that. We're going to get to a little bit of that here in just a minute. But looking at Zion National Park, a lot of people don't realize that there are active archaeological sites and things like that happening within the park every day. And some of them during various times throughout the year are open to the public for viewing.
I did not know this. You're educating me right now. Thank you.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic.
No,
or not.
I'm serious. Like I read over your notes for today's show and I didn't see that. So thank you. You're teaching me something.
Look at that. Other interesting things about the park. You know, I'm always a fan of knowing things about an area before we travel to them. As far as the number of, like, which number in the national park system in the list does Zion fall into? As far as active national parks, it is number 15. Zion was created November 19th, 1919. So 19 is a big number for Zion, which the year 1919 was a good year for national parks because 3 of them were created. Do you know the other ones?
No,
you don't.
I don't.
Acadia National Park was in Maine, was created on my birthday, February 26, 1919. I wasn't born in 1919. I'm just going to clarify that. Although I do use a lot of verbiage from back then. But also the Grand Canyon was officially created February 26, 1919.
So 3 pretty big ones.
3 pretty big ones in 1919. Zion on November 19th.
So when you say Zion ranks number 15, do you mean like in how many visitors they get every year or how big they are? Or like they were the 15th national park?
They were the 15th national park created. Sorry, I need to say that clearer. They were the 15th one created. Do you know what the next one would be?
No, I don't.
Okay, Hot Springs in Arkansas. But it doesn't matter. But yeah, so it came a long way. Obviously, it was settled long before that with early inhabitants. like the Paiute
Yeah.
Paiute and Anasazi tribes for thousands of years walk through there. In fact, part of the archaeological sites include petroglyphs and artifacts that have been left behind and everything. You always want to go to the visitor center if that is your thing, because these different archaeological sites are sometimes closed if they're doing, digs, things like that. So you want to go there, and they'll have the more up-to-date list of where you can go and visit. If there are some open and available, I recommend you go check them out.
Right.
They're really cool. I mean, they really are, to see the what people crudely call cave paintings and things like that on the side of these rocks.
Right. I was reading on their website that they don't really like to advertise it because they don't want an overinflux of people in those areas. Yeah. And they are concerned about preserving the petroglyphs. So just be respectful if you do see them or come across them. Let's not touch them or add to the drawings.
There are idiots out there, man.
Yeah.
I think recently in Valley of Fire, which is 45 minutes north of Las Vegas, there's a big old petroglyphs wall, and some lady started carving her name into that. Like, you're not a cave person. Well, you're not.
Vicky was here.
Yeah, Vicky was here. What are you doing? And people are like filming her, but people just do that now. Like, common sense.
And it's happening more and more. I
mean,
this
wasn't a kid. This was like a middle-aged lady. And
we're seeing this happening at so many very popular tourist destinations around the world. And I don't understand what's wrong with people. But just looking, Zion National Park gets around 5 million visitors every year.
Yeah.
So, there's somebody out there who's carving their initials in a rock somewhere.
Ticks me off. Around the, sorry, I guess I was born in 1919. Around the mid 1800s, Mormon settlers started coming into the area. They had already established some farming communities around there. It's a very fertile area. And that's, if you're kind of wondering where the name Zion came from, it was first started being called Zion from Mormon settlers. Originally, the name of Zion was something that I cannot pronounce. It was more in the native early inhabitants language. I'm going to attempt it.
Good for you.
Mukuntuwiap. Mukuntuwiap. Okay. President William Taft, he proclaimed it part of the National Monument area, and he wanted that to be the name of it. After a while, about 10 years or so, they were like, dude, people can't say this name. And they're getting really confused. And most people in the area already call it Zion. So around 1918, they changed the name to Zion officially. And the park was created in 1919. So there you go. So people wondering why it's created or why it's named what it is. Ease. And most of the time, I mean, depending on parts of the country or where you are in the world too, people have different pronunciations for Zion. So...
Yeah, that is true. I did wonder why it was called that. And reading the meaning of the word Zion in the Bible is a place of peace and refuge.
Yeah.
So I guess when the Mormons moved there, they felt they were, safe.
Yeah. I mean, and then you start looking at, why one trail, like we mentioned earlier, is called Angel's Landing. And then they have different ones that are, kind of go into more religious, biblical aspects and everything. And it's, all of these places, actually, I think Angel's Landing has gone through a few different names as well. From the early 1930s up until now, it's changed a few times. Some of the park areas have been named and renamed for different park administrators that have served for a very long time looking over the parks and things like that. So if you are kind of like me and you're nerdy, diving into those little things of what makes it, what gives it its name and different things like that. I don't know why I do it. It's a sickness. You love it, though. It's a sickness sometimes.
You love it. But like you said, if you like that kind of stuff, you have to go visit the visitor center, talk to the people that work there, because they're probably just as passionate about it as you are.
Yeah, they are. They're just as nerdy as I am, even more so, I would imagine. So hats off to them. It's an Unscaled Travel Show. We're talking Zion National Park. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 823-DBLS.
Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, the Diamondback Lands Rain Studios. But we are talking about Zion National Park. Give you some of our tips, tricks, hacks, I don't know, for visiting if you're visiting for the first time, or if you're even going back for something a little bit different. We've talked about hiking trails and places to eat, different little fun facts about the park. But you mentioned something earlier, and I want to circle back to lodging,
right,
and maybe some camping and glamping options that are in and around the park, because if you're going there, Zion is definitely one of those parks that you need multiple days, multiple visits to see. And so you'll need to lay your head down somewhere, get some,
right.
They won't let you sleep on the trails. No more.
Well, I mean, if you have a permit, you can camp.
Well, you can camp, but not on the trail.
But again, you have to plan ahead. And you did mention you need to really think about the season you're going in. And if it's peak season, that is definitely something to consider, because Zion has one lodge, but it's not a very big lodge. So they have around 75 rooms, and they have some cabins. Outside of that, if you're not a camper or a glamper, you have to stay in one of the small towns outside one of the entrances. And we found when we went, we did not plan ahead. We thought, oh, we'll just find a room when we're there. The closest hotel room was an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
That was available. And we just decided if we're going to drive that far, we might as well drive back to Vegas and go home, because it was, I want to say we went on like a holiday weekend. So just tons of people out there camping, enjoying nature. And we thought we were being spontaneous and fun, and things were going to work out for us.
We're being foolish. You mentioned the one lodge inside the park. That's Zion Lodge. Peak seasons. Look, if you want to go during peak season, you might start looking for rooms now.
Right.
Months in advance. It is extremely popular. I've said it multiple times. So Zion National Park, or Zion Lodge, fills up very quickly. It stays booked. And the places inside the park, well, Zion Lodge and Springdale, the town outside the south entrance, those areas, they book up quick. They stay booked.
They do.
And I will be honest, the hotel room prices sometimes border on the insane.
Right.
They have like places like La Quinta and things like that normally would cost, I don't know, less than $100 to stay one night or whatever. Sometimes I've seen them go for $250, $300.
Yeah. I think there's a Best Western right there in Springdale, and it was like over $300
like $300
the weekend.
Something.
Yeah.
During peak season, it can go holiday weekends, big like Memorial Day weekends and Labor Day weekends, things like that can be astronomical. In the past few years, different options like Airbnbs have popped up. And there are some cool experiences. There are ranches in the outside communities.
Right.
There are all kinds of accommodations. But again, you are going to pay a premium during peak season. So you just need to plan accordingly. John and I, in fact, we had that early morning for Angel's Landing. We stayed an hour and a half away, and it was still pretty pricey. And so, you couple that with, I think the park opens at like 6 or 7 in the morning. So we're leaving the hotel room, and we thought we were getting down to the room early or down to the lobby early because they had an early breakfast or whatever. And they know what people are there for.
Right.
So it was one of these hotels just out in the middle of nowhere, and they still had big signs on the front desk saying early morning breakfast for hikers or whatever. We get down there, the lobby was packed full of people. It was like 4:30 in the morning, and everyone was gearing up to head into the park.
Were you all going to take the shuttle, or were you like driving?
We were an hour and a half away. So we had to drive in. And luckily, that early in the morning, we actually got to go into the park and park. That's another good point. Parking options are extremely limited inside. Springdale and other places do have a shuttle, a free shuttle that'll take you into the park. That's a part of their shuttle system. There was a time where you had to buy tickets for the shuttle. I think it's free now. It's just like first come, first serve on all of that. But parking at the visitor center and those surrounding parking lots is very, very limited.
Right. I remember when you and I went, the parking lot where the shuttle picks people up, we got there pretty early in the morning, it was already full.
Yeah.
And there are just various parking, I won't call them lots. They're not even lots, just like gravel.
Yeah.
Places of gravel where people are parked throughout the town of Springdale. And we had to go back like 3 of them before we found one that was open to
and
park
it wasn't super expensive. I think it was like $10 or $15
to park. And then we had to walk back over.
Oh, we had to walk over there.
Yeah.
Now they do have bikes and stuff.
They do,
but
it's just something to be aware of, that it is a smaller town and there's not, I feel like they don't really have the infrastructure for 5 million visitors a year. They make it work, but you as the visitor are going to have to put in a little bit of work too.
Yeah. You're going to have to meet them halfway because, I mean, there's only so many places to put people, and they don't want to. I've seen it before for like places like Springdale. They intentionally do not want to expand their town because then you start cutting into what makes everything beautiful.
Right.
And I get it. We all want our coffee and things like that in the morning, but like at what cost? You know what I'm saying? And not just the actual cost, but you don't want Starbucks popping up when you're on Angel's Landing going, hey, look, that's the Starbucks we stopped at.
I don't recall seeing a lot of chain or franchise restaurants, fast food,
Not
anything when we were there. It was a lot of independent.
Yeah. Not until you get to places like Hurricane and different towns that are a little bit further away do you start seeing the chain restaurants pop up and everything, which is good.
If you go north into Cedar City, which we've been to a few times, that's kind of a college town. It has a lot more options there too.
If you do get the permits for camping, there are, obviously things you need to consider as well. Some of the campgrounds like the Watchman Campground, the South Campground, even Lava Point Campground, these have certain amenities like restrooms, electrical hookups, potable water, picnic tables, things like that are probably better for families or if you have young ones or if you just don't want to, deal with the other stuff. Other points like the backcountry camping, or I should say Lava Point itself, because the amenities at Lava Point, very minimal. They have pit toilets, no water. They're first come, first serve. So just wherever you can set up your tent and things like that, you just need to be aware of once you're camping and where you're going to, what's going to be available to you, or otherwise you may just be, out of luck.
I think this goes into the what level of camper are you? Because are you a sleeping on a tent on the ground kind of camper? Are you I'm bringing my RV and I need to hook it up so I have my own toilet camper? Are you a glamper, which I believe they also have glamping options?
Mention the glamping options. There are different companies. There's one called Zion Backcountry Glamping. This is the one that'll take you actually into the park. This is inside of Zion. It's the large canvas tents or sometimes yurts, which they have real beds, lounge areas, private bathrooms,
See, I'll do that kind of camping.
Luxury bathhouses. Adventurers who seek a rustic feel, but you want comfort and convenience.
Yep, that's me.
Perfect for couples, families, people like that who you're just not ready.
I'm not a tent camper. I mean, we used to go camping all the time when I was a kid, but we camped in a small RV.
Sure.
So we had an actual mattress we slept on. We didn't necessarily have a toilet, but we always stayed at campgrounds that had a public restroom you could use with showers. So I'm not one to want to use a pit toilet, as you called it. I don't want to have to carry a shovel with me or biodegradable toilet paper, lean over a tree stump. That's not my idea of an enjoyable camping experience.
There's, I don't know how to segue from that. There's other places such as under Canvas Zion or East Zion Riverside Glamping, which are right outside the park, about 15, 20 minutes outside of the park. Still safari style tents. It's that whole thing. And I think the best part is a lot of these places. Now, these might be a little bit closer to the city, so you're going to get Wi-Fi and different things, so you're not completely cut off. But some of the point of it is to reconnect with nature, not so much with modern convenience, right?
So don't bring your Xbox.
Or do. I don't know. Depends on which company you hook up with. It's Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
For all of our past episodes, interviews, check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com. We are in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, and we're talking about Zion National Park, a park that sees over 5 million visitors every single season, and with good reason. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous place. It's one of these national parks that you should absolutely see multiple times in your lifetime. And we hopefully have given you some good information on different trails, including the popular Angel's Landing, the Narrows, different places like that, places to eat, lodging, all kinds of fun stuff. Now, just some practical tips, some little know before you go type of situations. We've mentioned a couple of times about the parking situation. Mm-hmm. The shuttle is free. They have a shuttle that connects in Springdale, and it'll take you to the different trailhead locations throughout the park. It's now free. You don't need a permit for it or anything like that, but it is first come, first serve. So popular times, you're going to have to be patient, right? Then there are things like the park entrance fees, and we can kind of start right there. Individuals, people on foot or on bicycle, it's $20. Mm-hmm. $20 to get in per person. Okay. The better deal, if you can swing it, if you can get your vehicle inside, if the parking area is not completely filled up or anything, is to go the per vehicle cost.
Right.
Which is, I think
it's $35.
$35. To me, the better option is the America the Beautiful Pass. Mention it all the time, anytime we talk about national parks here in the United States. But the America Beautiful, the Beautiful Pass is only $80 for a year and covers all the national parks, so many national conservation areas, forests, different areas like that. So if you are, you or your group like to go hit multiple parks, or that's the plan, especially if you're going to do the Utah Big Five, all 5 of the national parks in Utah, bro, I mean, with one park entrance with you and your buddies, that's paying for half of the annual pass right there. So you might as well do it. It is free if you're military, or it's deep discount if you're a senior citizen. So I would start right there.
Yeah. I mean, we get it every year now since we discovered it several years ago, even if we don't plan to go hit a bunch of parks, because you never know. And we always carry it with us when we travel in the U.S. because it seems like there's a national park or a monument or something that this pass gets you into everywhere we go.
It covers all the places around and in and outside of Las Vegas, Red Rock Canyon Scenic Drive, Valley of Fire, all the national parks, which there are in like a 4 to 6 hour radius. There are 7 national parks in our area. So it covers all of these places that we go to and so many other things. So, I mean, I would go check out the website for the America Beautiful annual pass and everything. That I'm sure they update it continuously, but start right there. Mention the shuttle here. Another good one is for your fur babies. Okay. Especially your dogs, people like that love to bring their dogs everywhere. Fortunately, unfortunately, there's only one trail inside Zion that allows leashed animals, and that's right off the visitor center area, and it's called the
Paiute. I don't know how to say it.
Parus, Parus trail. It's right there by the visitor center, and all of the normal dog rules there. You know, pick up after your dog. The dog has to be on a leash. Respect the wildlife. All of those things. Pets are not allowed on any other trails, wilderness areas, shuttle buses.
Which we found this out at a different national park, that they're happy for you to take your animal in, but you can't take them on the actual trails. Once you hit a trailhead, a lot of them said no animals, even leashed animals. So if you do travel with your pet, it's just something to be aware of. I mean, you had the same thing with John when you guys went to
the Smoky
Mountains. Very few trails. So I think if you're going with the intent to hike, it's probably not the best time to take your dog. But, if you're going to maybe camp for a few days, the campgrounds do allow pets.
Yeah. And then, also in that realm is service animals. Service animals may accompany their owners to all park locations. I'm reading that right off the website here. So you can bring your service animal as long as it's, registered and you have the paperwork and everything, because the rangers will stop you and they will inquire about, what's happening there. It doesn't say anything if you have a pet cockatoo. If you have a pet cockatoo or like a pet tarantula on a leash, as long as the animals are leashed, I think you're good outside of that.
What if you carry it in your backpack?
Ooh. There's something about a spider being in a backpack. I don't like that at all.
Well, they have those cat backpacks with like the globe thingy on it. And our daughter said someone at her school has one, and they do have a pet bird in it. And the bird sits in the little clear globe. Oh,
as long as you keep in mind that during the summer months, it gets extremely hot.
It does.
And those little domes like that can act like magnifying glasses. And I don't want to say what might happen to your pet.
I didn't think about that.
But it may cook. It may cook your pet. There are other things, like we mentioned it a couple times. Always keep in mind the weather. Flash flooding, especially in the canyon areas, in the narrows, different things like that. The narrows can get shut down for high water. During rainy months, it can be day to day as far as whether the narrows is open. A good point about the narrows, actually coming back to that, is that you don't need a permit if you're going up to the narrows, from the south to the narrows in that area. You do need a permit because it is considered backcountry if you're going farther north and hiking down into the narrows, because it's a backcountry thing. So you do need a backcountry permit. So keep that in mind. Then there are other areas like the Zion Tunnel. We mentioned that as part of a scenic drive. If you are in an RV, if you have a large trailer, oversized vehicles, you might want to check the size, because it is a tunnel that was built in the 1930s.
Right.
And it is not always up to code as far as giant RVs are concerned.
Right.
These 44-foot RVs that are now populating the area.
Bigger and better, right?
Yeah. So, there's little things like that. And so go ahead.
I was going to just say, going back to, closures and things like that, always check the website, even the day of, because I'm on their website right now and there are 3 different closures. One is a road. One is a trail bridge, and another is one of the shuttle stops. So you never know what's going to be closed. You may be wanting to hike a certain trail and you need to get off at a certain stop, and that stop's closed. Right now, this shuttle stop is closed due to rock fall. So I'm not sure what exactly happened there, but I would say every day that you are planning to be in Zion, check the website and see what closures they have.
Yeah. And, I've mentioned most of the things we've talked about has been from our experiences in summertime. In wintertime, it becomes totally different.
Right.
It is, number one, it's a totally different scene as far as just, the landscapes and everything. It does snow there regularly. Mm-hmm. It is gorgeous. If you've ever seen pictures of Zion with snow, the snow-capped mountains, the trails, the canyons and everything covered in snow, it looks just amazing. Amazing.
And snow and cold means ice. So if you are driving in, you have to just be careful.
There are certain areas, if you don't have 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and even snow chains, don't even attempt it. I don't know your little Kia is going to make it. I wouldn't take that chance. But also you have to remember things like if you're going to hike the trails, ice on the trails, snow on the trails, hypothermia,
right,
layering, and even, people think, hey, it's cold or I don't need to drink as much water. No, that's not true. Dehydration happens even when it's cold. And the elevation, right? The elevation ranges from about 4,000 to 8,000 feet. So, you got to keep all of that in mind and how different things affect you. And if you get into a situation that requires emergency, sometimes, man, like if you're out there in a place that you not necessarily should be or you're unprepared for, it can be one of those, situations where help can't find you easily or get to you easily. So you just have to keep a lot of that in mind.
I think it just goes back to being a responsible traveler and hiker and not putting yourself in a situation that can endanger yourself or anyone trying to come help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one last tip is for those, we mentioned a little bit about accessibility as far as wheelchairs and things like that. Check online. There are some areas that are 100% available to those who need those accessibility options. There are other areas that are not. You just need to go check out the website, mps.gov/Zion, right? You'll get all the information. We hope we helped you out. We hope you wrote it down. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We will see you guys next time.